Gang, I've got a story for you. As a nerd, I have always wanted a computer that did my work for me. In the last few weeks, I built one. The most impressive self working artificial intelligence based assistant you could imagine. And now I have pulled the plug on it. I nuked it, I wiped the drive, and sent it back. Let me tell you the story. There's been a project that a lot of people have been talking about. It started out as Claudebot, then they renamed their name to Moltbot. Now it's OpenClaw for legal and various IP reasons. But this OpenClaw project is a open source project that allows you to install an AI piping system on your computer where it can run AI tools whenever it needs to. So you've got a fully independent artificial intelligence working on your behalf. One of the things I did with this thing was I created an assistant. It was great. I do a business where I sell online courses. So sometimes I get emails from customers that need a password reset or something to do with their account. With very little effort, I trained my OpenClaw robot to go on the website for my courses, access the customer account, reset the password, do whatever they needed. It would read the email, it would go and do the job, and then it would write a draft email back to the customer and hold it for me to send. I wanted to review it before it went, of course. So I set all that up, was very impressed with myself. I went to bed, I woke up the next morning, I got a text message from my OpenClaw robot that said, "Hey Sparky, you got 3 customer emails in the evening. I took care of their questions. I've got draft replies in your outbox or your sendbox. And I also went online and sent somebody a 10% refund because they needed one." It was kind of amazing that I had this 24/7 assistant doing things like that. To go further, the thing could go on my invoicing program and send invoices to sponsors. It could take podcast recordings and transcribe them for me. Literally anything you could do on a computer, I could have trained my OpenClaw robot to do for me. It really is living the dream. And I always wanted that kind of thing. For decades, I've been teaching automation, and it's always aimed at this idea of getting the computer to do what I call the donkey work, do the stuff that we don't want to do, so we can spend our time doing the creative work and making great things. And the OpenClaw robot absolutely fills the bill here. I've never seen anything so impressive in its ability to do my work for me. Now, why did I turn it off? It is so unsecure. If you look online, there are so many stories about how unsecure this thing is. It's an open source project. It was put out there. There wasn't a lot of thought put into the security of it. And I knew that going in. That's why I did it on an independent little Mac Mini. I didn't want to give my main computer vulnerability and vectors into the internet. I thought maybe I was okay putting it on an independent computer. And then I also was very aggressive in adding my own security measures. I said it can't look at hidden characters. And the real risk here is that somebody's going to be able to prompt engineer their way into the machine. Maybe somebody sends an email to my customer support and somehow convinces the OpenClaw robot that it's me, and then starts allowing them to do things like maybe refund all my customers or shut down my courses or delete my courses. There's just, unlimited power when somebody gets into this, and the gullible robot thinks it's you. So I put a lot of effort into making sure that there was a secret passphrase and things that it couldn't do even if it thought it was talking to me. But the more I looked into it, the more I found additional holes. I remember the night after I put the secret passphrase in, I thought I had it all handled. So I went ahead, went to bed, and about 2 a.m. I started waking up thinking, there's a log to every conversation. Was the OpenClaw robot smart enough to not put that password in plain text in the log? So I went downstairs, I asked it, "Hey, robot, is my secret phrase in your log?" And it did a little work, and it said happily, "Yes, David, it is. It's in the log. Would you like me to show you the log?" "No, I would like you to never do that again." And it just didn't know that it should have secured that or done something else. So after some prompting, I convinced it to never put it in the log again and to purge the log. But I got thinking at that moment, I'm not a security expert. I'm a guy who talks about productivity and Apple software and Apple hardware. I'm pretty good at that, but I'm not a security guy. And if I'm thinking about ways to punch holes in this that work, what about the bad guys, the people who really know how to punch through a system? I figure they've got 1,000 ways for every one I can think of. So ultimately, as much as I love my OpenClaw robot, I tore it down. I re-wiped the drive, I closed the accounts, I disconnected everything. It is not ready yet. Now, if you're looking into this, there's a lot of people out there talking about how great it is and it writes apps for them. But I feel like the security question is not adequately addressed. And it's really not time to do this. If you want to run it as an experiment, you can try that, but I would not give it access to anything you don't want on the front page of the New York Times. And I certainly would not give it access to your email or anything where they can use that access to further compromise you. I think it's a real bad idea. But I do think this technology is amazing. Now, I don't know what the future holds. Maybe at some point, some well-meaning open source folks are going to build a security package for OpenClaw that's really strong, and suddenly we can feel safe using it. I think probably what's going to happen is that the gang over at Anthropic and OpenAI and Google are going to see how popular this is. And we're going to get something like Claude Cowork 2 that has features like this in a security environment that we feel safe with. But I do think this is the future. We've been hearing about AI for years, and I don't need it to write college essays. I don't need it to write for me. I don't need it to be creative for me, but I would love for it to deal with customer support emails and donkey work. And we don't need them to get to artificial general intelligence to get that benefit. We have it right now, but there's a huge problem with security. And when you think about it, it kind of makes sense because the whole security racket for the last 30 years has been all about keeping people out of your systems, about locking them down and locking them out. But the only way an independent artificial intelligence agent can work is if you give them access. It's about the exact opposite of what all security is engineered to do. So the existing security infrastructure really isn't up to the job. But now that this thing exists, I think a lot of smart people are going to start thinking about it and finding ways to make it work. You can get some of the benefits using something like Anthropic's Claude's Cowork, but it's not really the same, not quite as powerful. But for now, don't put any effort into putting an OpenClaw server together with any data you want to keep private. It could be an experiment. It is not a tool yet, so be careful. So a few takeaways I did get from this whole experience. The first is that I really think that we are much closer to having useful AI administrative assistants than I thought before. I think when you see how fast these things can learn and go on the web and do things for you, it's clear to me that we are really looking forward to some improvements and productivity enhancements for those of us that want to get there. I think there's a real first mover advantage for people who want to explore this stuff and figure it out, but you have to do it safely and securely. OpenClaw, in my mind, is not the place to do that yet. The second thing I kind of learned in this experience is the importance of the human in the loop. Even if this thing worked perfectly, if it was super secure, it's still a very gullible robot. It can misinterpret commands that I give it. It can get confused. You really need, at the end of the day, a human to finally say yes or no to whatever it's going to do. So that's probably good news for us humans. But either way, this is a fun experiment. As I've said throughout, I am not recommending you install this thing or try it. Certainly don't install it on your personal computer. It's super dangerous. But it is very exciting to see technology like this hitting the public and all of us being able to get that assistant. I mean, haven't you always been jealous of like presidents and CEOs who have a person following them around and taking care of whatever the problem is? Well, once this stuff hits mainstream, once it's safe, we're all going to have that, at least with our digital lives. So check it out. Let me know what you think. If you're interested in what I do, I am MacSparky. You find me at MacSparky.com. I teach about the intersection of productivity and Apple technology. I've got the MacSparky Labs with a lot of people that learn about this stuff with me. I've got a podcast called Mac Power Users and another one called Focused. And I also make the MacSparky Field Guides where I go in depth about teaching about topics like automation and how to get all this stuff together. So go check it out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.